Let's see. Yeah, we've been wanting to get over there, but we've been working on some stuff. And I don't know. Let me focus. Let's focus. Okay, so we are live. Okay, we're good. We're good. Put this stuff on here. Page. Okay, this is cool. See, we've been having some problems with Facebook on people being allowed to being notified and stuff, but the replays have been getting a lot of action. Plus, we put it up on YouTube. But let's see here. I'm going to pull it up on the screen on my phone to see what we got going on. Allow some people to get have time to get in, and then I'll share it through the network. We'll roll the show out.
Excellent. Okay. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, me too. This is going to be. Let's see. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Very interesting. Okay, here we go. All right, we got 17 people in the house. Yeah.
Nice, 17 people.
Yeah, let's see here. Let me, if these shows resonate with you, please share. This is going to be a very special show by one of our island mates here. Yeah, actually, she's a homegirl here, native.
Yeah.
It's going to be very informative and unique. It's going to be a very unique broadcast in comparison to the 1,200 plus broadcasts that we've had. Let's see. Let me just share it through the network, and then we'll roll the show out, get to know our sister here, our beautiful sister. Let's see here. Okay. I want to thank everybody for your continued love and support and contributions. Allow us to keep doing this every day by the seat of our pants. But that's okay. We can deal with that. This is how we go through this transition we're calling ascension. There are no guarantees. We just walk every day in faith and keep expanding that vibration by adding additional frequencies. Hello, Annie Zumo, Tom Bird, Donna Davin, Lena Starbuck, Bernie Kawara, Terry Willette, Dean Reynolds, Arcana Jensen, Kim Longo, Serpa Tuaminan, Pamela May, Kim Longo, Beth Bushlosh, Carla Dawn Mitsis, Ann Kristen Skoglund, Jenna Harmon, my friend down in Sydney with her beautiful family, Delia Flores, who did I mention? Shane Kettle, Shireen Vanderwillen, Angela Williams, Josh Beal, Ben Kimi Dragasky. Would love to come to Kauai. Yes. Terry DeRoe, Nasir Rose, Bora Tintas from Turkey. A lot of people from all over the world, which is a beautiful thing. Deborah Faye Curtis says, "What a beautiful guest you have." Yeah. So we're gonna get to know our beautiful guest, Chalsie. We met at a beautiful spiritual place very unique spiritual place called Mandira here in Kapa'a, Hawaii. And we got to do, that's our only one we've done in 7 months. We did a 2-hour old school Soulogy radio show, but we did it live. It was kind of cool. We'd like to do some more, maybe do a couple of months, but got some other things we're working on. But we met her there and met a lot of cool people. Adrian Nichols, who's the guy that runs it. His beautiful girlfriend Shelby, who we had to reschedule from her show a couple of days ago. We were going to have her come on, and she will come on. But we met this beautiful lady here, beautiful sister, beautiful spirit, Chalsie Quel. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for honoring us with your presence and sharing space with us. Welcome to Soul Speaks 5D. It's a conversation. And I don't know where we want to start this conversation, but most of the people that come on are a lot older than you.
I bet.
And most of them are older than me too. If you believe that, then I'll sell you some ice cubes, right? But but most of them are older than you. Now you grew up in? Did you grow up in Kauai or in the?
Yes.
Okay.
I was born and raised on Kauai. Yeah. And originally, my family came on two separate boats. One side of my family, which is my Hawaiian Portuguese side, which was my mother's side, came to Hawaii. And then when during the sugarcane era, my Filipino Chinese side of my family, which is my father, came to Hawaii and co-created a whole sense of mixing of cultures during that time.
Wow. So that would have probably been what? He's probably my age, your father? I'm 57.
He's 43.
Oh my God. That's funny. So then he actually came probably what, in the 1990s? Was it the 80s?
Well, it was my great-great-grandparents that came.
Oh, I got you.
It was my mother's side's family who were already here, and then became the mixing pot of all cultures during that era. Yes.
So I remember you had a real unique story when you and Morgan and I were talking. If I remember correctly, you at a young age were dropped off at was it a monastery or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How did that story go? That was interesting.
During my family's travels, basically we were in China, and my mother didn't want any type of influence of the world. She thought it would be too much for me to be in the city and change of culture and too much. So somehow in my dad's travels, all I remember, it was such a long time ago when I was tiny, but I remember the teachings while I was there, was basically I arrived at really early in the morning. Me and my dad took a bus and we drove all the way up into the mountains, and we arrived at these really big red gates. And during his travels as a young person, he made, somehow he had a connection to this monk, and this monk had taken me in for 2 years. And I lived amongst them quietly, as in I took a vow of silence to not interrupt their own spiritual practice, and integrated with them for 2 years and just watched and learned and felt so amazed. At the same time, felt like a place of home. So when I returned back to civilization on Kauai, it was then creating connections between that spiritualism and Hawaii spiritualism, and putting them together to understand peace within myself.
Yeah. How old were you when you spent those 2 years in the monastery?
I was around 4, and then from when I was 6.
Wow. That's pretty wild, man. That's a hell of an elementary education. Right?
It was very weird for me going back to school, because, it was like, did you see this one guy? He was standing on his fingers and everything, all these news and all this beautiful information, and no one got anything from what I was saying.
Yeah. I don't think there would have been too many adults that would have got what you were saying.
Probably.
So you came back to Hawaii, and then you re-entered mainstream Kauai anyway. That's far different than mainstream and normalcy. But so you came back in, and you went through the normal stuff, I guess, that kids do. I mean, you went through high school.
Yeah. I always felt like a sense of displacement, but I always felt at home within myself and within nature. If people didn't understand me, I'd go into nature and I would meditate. I would be in nature and find myself and find more happiness there than I did with people around me, because it was a sense of maybe a disconnection. But it always came back to being that monk on the inside. No matter where I did or how far I strayed mentally or physically, it was always coming back to that monk and that temple inside my heart. Yeah.
Right on.
I still don't know where that place was, or even if it's the same, but it's the same inside myself.
Yeah.
And that's how I keep it alive.
You had given me, and I apologize because I'm running on fumes today.
Okay.
And thank you for letting me start 30 minutes late. But you had sent me some text, and you said, "I'm here to speak from my Hawaiian roots, to speak of the hidden world of Hawaii spirits and the way the energy flows through all of us and how we can be conscious of the energies happening.
Yes.
I've learned this by performing an ancient ritual, the walk. It was to bless the entire island in spiritual prayer, to lay down a blessing so strong to cast out all of past pains, bring in positive love, prosperity to mind, body, soul." And then before we went live, I was telling you, you said, "How you doing?" And I said, "I'm good, but I just went through a lot." Last night when we lay down, probably went a couple hours, and I don't even know what the hell happened. But it was a lot of energy and a lot of impact on the human body. So normally I can jump up and I can turn it on, and once the camera comes on, then I can just get through it. But it was a very powerful thing. And you said, which is in the same context of your text, let's talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. So
Let's talk about it.
What perspective can you give? What commentary can you give as to what little we talked about this morning and what you're talking about in your text with the show?
So let's start with the flow of how these energies work. And it all starts with that one question: why did I wake up this morning, or one morning, and what drawed me to Hawaii? What brought me here? What is that energetic pull that brought you here? And everybody throughout my entire life never has an answer. They just come, and then the path is like laid out in front of them, even if it's like a week, a year, months, or many years. They tend to either discover why they came here or have found a reason why they had come here. But I want to answer that of why. Why? So as you can see, you guys all seen this. It's the little ball that you put in your protein shake, right? This represents, yeah.
I've never seen one, but it's cool. I like it.
Right? Isn't it neat how it spirals down and then spirals back out? And that's the same for the world. It's the torus. I mean, even if you turn it sideways, you can actually see how that energy flows. You put it and it spins the particles to shake it up. But this was a perfect representation of what's going on in the world. And, when you squish it, it creates that whirlpool. Yeah. Whirlpool, right? Now, if you look at an earthquake weather book, or a lot of weather books, or something weather, you can literally see, and this book is pretty old. This book was printed in the 1979. And as you can see, all the dots there are all around the world. And that is the energy that you would, in regular practice, you draw up from the world, and you would feel all the spiritual nature and all the presence and energy. But when you're come to Hawaii, that flips. It flips. Your natural flow of time flips. Because Hawaii is right in the center of all this. So this, when you put it on top, just like so, is literally like the same thing. It's the whole world's energy. When the world hiccups, it literally all the energy flows into Hawaii. We are the funnel of the Taurus.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of teachers, their teachings are amazing how they get there, but the direction they need to follow is this way.
Yeah.
Drawing from the heavens and letting that come this way. I see a lot of people they find taking from the ground, they're going the opposite direction, like a salmon going upriver. And so when you draw from the ground, in Hawaii, you're going against that natural, powerful flow.
Yeah.
When Hawaiians used to sit in a circle and they would all receive the blessing, there would literally be a conch shell that was blown, and the chakra would enter the top of their head and would flow down past physical existence into the ground. They would draw energy from the universe and enter, and they would chant Ehomai. And Ehomai was grant us the knowledge from above. And so they understood the natural flow of life itself. And it was coming down, pushing out, and receiving, loving, and gathering all around. So that's how it works. And if you're feeling dizzy or feeling like a lack of energy or a lot of physical toll on the body, it's because that natural spiral is coming up. And so when you meditate or do a lot of practice, try imagining everything in the opposite direction and see how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, I guess when I experience it, and I'm so glad you said that too. And I just saw Morgan's comment about her first few weeks here on Kauai, the purging, the initiations. But if I look back at all the stuff I've been through here, which is right even last night, which I don't even understand, dragons is a big part of it. Visitations, star family, the whole 9 yards. I don't really see it. It does feel like it's coming from, it doesn't feel like to me it's coming from the land.
Yeah.
It actually feels like it's coming from, at least at a literal and also multidimensional way. It's coming through, I would say, like the higher chakras.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the way. But it does seem to, and I don't know if it's unique to Kauai and what you're talking about, because we have a lot of people come on this show in regard to the energies that are present on the earth now and the toll that it has sometimes on the physical body. I don't know if that's unique to just to Kauai or to everybody, or these energies are a little bit different. But it does seem to be a factor in a lot of people's lives this year in particular around the world that are in this circle when they talk about the energies coming down, be they solar flares or geomagnetic storms or however they want to define it or whatever label they want to put on it. Would you say that this form of meditation or imagery or exercise of bringing it in from the above, it would work for everybody?
Yeah. Well, it also depends on where you're at in the world. If you are in a place and you feel like you're completely just spiraling and your body is just not connecting in the way it should, yes, you should ignite these chakras, because that means in that area, you're activating the bottom chakras. And those are the only ones that are going to work for you. So you would have the orange, yellow, and red. The other for, and that would be mostly considered in the survival mode.
Yeah.
Hawaiians would live with only those four, in which was the top and here. And they called it ho'oponopono. And literally what ho'oponopono, it means four things. Sorry,
Yeah.
Forgive me, thank you, I love you.
Yeah.
And they would live by those four because they were thriving.
Yeah.
So you're thriving. When it became times of hardship, battle, anything to do with survival, you would only ask from the ground because you needed that energy to survive.
Yeah.
And if you're not in surviving, your mind's thriving and your body's just going to get confused. You're just going to get all the emotions are going to bottle up and you're going to feel like you're purging. It's because your brain thinks it's in survival mode. You're drawing against the flow of time, the flow of whatever nature it is. You're just pulling up all of the nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me just restate it. So, or ask you to restate it. So if you're feeling that, like in the Hawaiian tradition, if the Hawaiian is feeling that pressure or that survival type of thing, this is what you do.
You take in the spiritual aspect, you start activating this more than the other ones.
Okay.
To keep that stability within yourself.
Yeah.
I learned this, and it was through putting myself through something that was to do with my survival and the spiritual at the same time. And it was literally from my young mind, I wanted to literally just talk to the Aina. I wanted to just bless her and really speak to her because she took on the weight of history. I'm just going to say, taking on the weight of history. All that history, that energy just was stagnant and it was just stuck, and it was all this bottled up energy that was in the earth. And there was always people asking kapunas for, I need to bless my car, or I need to bless my baby, I need to bless a space, I need to bless this for protection, for wealth, for whatever they were asking for. But there wasn't, I don't think, one that was done really for Kauai herself and all that she has facilitated and done for everyone who had come from the beginning to now. And I remember it was actually on Valentine's Day. It was the day after Valentine's Day. It was on February 15th. I was feeling all the energies coming from every direction. And there was just like there was not much love. There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of nature energy spiraling up into people. And I just couldn't take it. It was like, this needs to happen now. I want to perform a blessing. I want it now. I want the healing now. I don't want to hear everybody's pain.
Yeah.
I accept everybody's pain, but it needs to change. I want to bless everyone.
Yeah.
So I drove all the way to Waimea town. I parked a car at my friend's house, and I literally took this bowl, which would be a koa wood bowl, and this actual here, this was a tea leaf, sprinkled some Hawaiian salt, some fresh sea salt. I said a blessing, and then I started with fresh spring water, and I started going across the island in spiritual prayer. And what I was saying to all the spirits was, Eho mai, drawing all the energy from within, asking for harmonic convergence from all the gods, whoever was listening, putting that into the bowl and spreading the particles on the island of love, prosperity, almost like giving an island a massage, talking to her. And I was saying to her, ho'oponopono, I'm sorry to the body. Forgive us, the body. Thank you, the body. And I love you. And it was saying that for 53 miles straight, all the way to the other end, which would be in Princeville, Hanalei.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the most beautiful experience I've ever had, but I had learned in that walk of what was happening with the spirals in that physical nature. I was struggling at some times where I couldn't, there were certain points where I was walking and I felt when I wanted energy. I wanted to just keep going. And so I would feel the energy spiral up into my body, and I would actually feel like I was slouching and my pace was slower. And all of a sudden I would have all of these thoughts rushing my head. So then it was using the energy from above and not letting the spiral reach higher into my head. So it was a constant up and down battle. It was like the energy was bouncing inside me as I walked. And that's how I learned and saw what was happening inside me. And it kind of looked like this. It was kind of like all the energy was spiraling out, spiraling in, and spiraling down. And that is mostly what was happening physically with my mind. And as soon as I drew in from the universe, when I bring the energy in and held it here, I felt, I felt like I could keep going, like I had a whole bunch of energy, like it was all converging within myself. And different places would cause different spikes. So then it told me it depends on where you're at, where the nature energy is going to be a lot stronger, and using that balance to create balance within yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then in the other example, just to kind of conclude that too. So when a person is in survival mode, like you were talking about, they're basically, they've already kind of activated, I guess, the lower chakras. They're in the lower chakras, right?
They live with only those chakras only.
Okay, so they're in those chakras, and a lot of people in these circles, and I'm not trying to prove anybody right or wrong, I'm actually trying to learn. So, but a lot of people that are on this, that are watching this now and even on the replay, will have heard you've got blockages, you've got to clear those chakras, but you're actually saying, hey, pull in the energy, create the toroidal or whatever, pull that energy from the higher, above, other dimensions, whatever gods or goddesses are listening, like you said, pull that energy in and bring it down through the chakras, as opposed
pushing, using that energy to push it past the physical existence into the ground and back out to the universe so it can be regenerated. And the perfect example is the butterfly nebula, the two energies that clash against each other. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, that's a fresh perspective. I like it. I like that. It seems a lot easier and a lot easier to attain, to pull in that energy and do our part to recycle, or to regenerate. Yeah. Now, back to the little ball.
Yeah.
The center of this field is in Hawaii, so everything gets turned upside down. Is there a distinction of the islands themselves, of each island in and of itself? Like, for instance, Kauai, is there a distinct part of that that space, that vortex, that each island has within the Hawaiian Islands? Like, for instance, Kauai, does it have a special part to play, or
Hawaii is the heart, and it was also where Pele had emerged and erupted. It was the heart of it. So when you imagine the heart, it's all the spirits that basically dwell in every part of all the spirits. All the spirits are so spiritually active here because this is their dwelling place, their birthplace. They come from whichever direction they're coming from, even if it's down or up. And Kalalau. Kalalau is the divine spiral that draws from the heavens. And so it rains there a lot. If anybody has walked that trail on a beautiful day or any day, it is known to create so much water. And even in the heart of it, when you fly over it, there's the center and there's like hundreds of waterfalls if it's been raining.
That's here on the island, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that what they say? I think I've heard that the wettest rainforest in the world is in Kauai. Is that
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think Go ahead.
And Polehale, you'll notice it's a complete different world. That vortex is the energy that spirals down.
Now, where's Polehale? Where's that at?
Polehale is literally on the west side.
Okay, I've heard of that. So is it? I've also heard that just very recently that it's in some of the older text, including the Tibetan text, the old Tibetan text, which would be what 2,000-3,000 years old, whatever. That the mountain starts with a K over at Anahola. Is where all souls birth into the realm, and the place that you just cited that starts with a P is where they go back out. Is that right?
Yes. So everything in between is kind of like their dwelling place. Some of them it's a playground, some of them it's a home, some of them it's their hangout spot. And it was good. I wouldn't say I don't like to say bad. I don't like to say evil.
Yeah.
I like to say mischievous, or spirits that are a lot more tougher and less cute than other spirits. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Jokesters too.
Yeah, or very protectors in their nature, or ones that are a little bit more mischievous.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know when I first got here, end of October, and I went down, stay with what would become a friend of mine at Anini Beach. And I walked down to this lagoon the first night, and I came across an interdimensional cave. And I went back later and it wasn't there, but it doesn't matter because I know I was there. But what happened was the presence of a dragon came, and we had a little discussion, and for the next 6 weeks it was virtually a daily thing. What is your perspective, or what do you know, if anything, about the presence of this incredible dragon energy that I've seen here?
The dragon represents multiple things, and they were called mo'o.
Mo'o.
Mo'o there were different things to different people. There's literally a story and a song called Puff the Magic Dragon.
Yeah.
And he was a friend to this little boy. And there was also stories about Mo'o that were these giant lizards that terrorized, and there was always some demigod there to go and defeat him, or there was a shaman, a kapuna or kahuna, who would bless the dragon away and scare him away. Spouting Horn, there's always that mythical storybook, child storybook, that when the shaman cast away the mo'o, he climbed underneath in the lava tubes, and he went to sleep for an eternal sleep. And every time he breathes, the spout would come up from the water. So there's many different stories connected to dragons, but if one has come to you, it may be your guide. It may be the dragon that wants to be your friend.
Yeah.
In a sense, if it wasn't a harmful kind of intense energy, more of just like, hi.
No, I think there's been a lot more than one, and it's been very clear what the communications have been. There haven't been. It has most of the time been very intense. Only one time for about 10 seconds I got scared, and that's because, and that was about 2 weeks ago, and because it took on a physicality. It actually took on a physical solidity and came up to the bed and kind of jumped on top of me. But it wasn't trying to really scare me. It was just the intensity of what I would call interdimensional experience. So I've got no problem with them. In fact, I embrace them, and one has said, I am your dragon. But I was just curious as to, because on this show, in the work I do, since about October, November, there's been a lot of talk around the world about dragons reemerging. People saying I'm communicating with the dragons. And so it seems like it's something that isn't just unique here. I know there must be a unique aspect to the dragon here on the island, but they seem to be coming back and making their presence known, and or to assist us in whatever we're doing, which leads me to a question. What's going on in the world? What do you think is happening?
What is happening is something so beautiful, and that we should not be afraid of, but we can just be aware of, is that we are in this beautiful moment where I think William Watts uses astral and physical. Is that how he explains it? Where the astral world, the universe, the spirit world, is meeting the physical one.
Yeah.
And we're in the middle of this shift. So both realms, as what was separate, are now becoming one realm.
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised, there was an uncle of mine who literally gifted me a blue jade iris vine. And I remember they used to bloom a lot, and I haven't seen this thing in like 10 years, but it started blooming again. There was even there's a lot of things that are coming back or are being found. They found up in the mountains recently a flower, an ancient flower that hasn't been in this world for a very long time. So as these two overlap, you're going to see and feel those energies colliding. And I feel like they're making love to each other. They're making love to each other. And once that is happening, they'll separate. And what happens there is then, balance. And we find balance within ourselves. So when they separate, we know the difference in receiving from all angles.
Yeah. It's like an integration of the physical and the non-physical, like a merging of the two. Yeah. And there's been at least publicized. Now, I would imagine to some degree or another, this stuff's been going on for thousands of years. People having interdimensional encounters, fairies, elves, dragons, unicorns, galactic beings, divine essences. But there seems to be an uptick of people having congruent what people might call paranormal experiences, visitations, or just interactions with otherworldly things, or what we might have considered otherworldly things. Do you see that as being part of this process? Do you see more and more of the quote unquote non-physical or non-physical showing themselves to us? Yeah.
It's when the mind and body are fully open and you know that your spirit is receiving naturally from all angles, is when you're open to that fact. It's when your healing truly is in effect and you know you're doing something right. I mean, if you're seeing, and you can do it without the effects of medicine and needing, it's understanding how the energies flow. And when you find that balance within yourself, there was a moment on the first sunrise. On the first sunrise, there was literally the light. When I looked at the sun, I was feeling all that energy spiral up. So I would look to the sun and I would draw in that sun energy. But when I looked at her the first time, she looked like a butterfly. And it had this beautiful, slender body of a butterfly, and the wings spread out, and there were these tiny little dots, which were just all this rainbow. There was so much color in that sunlight, but the head was not connected to the body. It was actually separate.
Yeah.
And so it was then seeing the energy flow in through the top of the crown and then seeing that spread out into that nature.
Yeah.
I would say that was like the first time I was experiencing something just so beautiful. It brought me to tears.
Without plant medicine.
No,
Yeah.
I
Now,
never
let
plant
me ask you
medicine.
about that too. I, like many people, have done a variety of plant medicines and other pineal gland opening, third eye opening type of experiences. I am kind of at the point now where, you know, maybe other than cannabis, which is really to me in a different, it's a different kind of deal, kind of like that stuff that
Grounding.
but at this stage in the game, with your experience, and I know everybody's different, but have we reached a level? Is there at least a good portion or a strong minority of this collective that has gotten to a point where that stuff's not even necessary anymore? That we're actually walking in that
realm.
Yeah,
Yes.
that we're actually walking in.
It's kind of like, it's like if you are in need of that, that is your choice, your body.
Yeah.
That is your choice in your body. But I would say just like, you don't need as much as before.
Yeah.
A lot of people needed a lot because they were separate, but it's for this time, this era that we're in. It's just like, use it as a tool.
Yeah.
I guess a tool to just have you there.
Yeah.
I feel my brain sees enough.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
I've experienced like living here and living out in Kauai's nature. I felt sometimes I really didn't need it. There were so many spiritual experiences and so many spiritual experiences that I've had from many other people, many other stories, like my mother, and a lot of spiritual activity. Because the spirits walk around just like you and me.
Yeah.
It's just that until we notice that they're there,
yeah.
You know.
No, I agree. And that's what I was
the
referring to.
shamans.
Yeah.
The shamans knew they were there.
Yeah.
They knew that literally they would go to the places like a waterfall or a top of a mountain, and they would sit there for hours on end in meditation, and they would feel what spirits were there, and then they would draw them on rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there was a time in the overall consciousness was, I hate to use that word, but lower or less aware, that these things did, like you said, kind of blast you to the other side. And that was just a temporary thing, but it somehow or another ignited the memory or the recognition of that space. But it seems like now that this is actually happening to many, many people without the use of plant medicine. That we're actually walking in this, just to describe it this way, but walking in a realm where we have, there's more visible light. Let's put it that way. There's more available.
Some people's energies and chakras are a little bit more sensitive and heightened than others, as where some, though it is a very hard process, because when you enter that on your own, sometimes it can drive you crazy. Like literally, it's just too much information. It's like giving a computer, your laptop, a shit ton of information at once, and then it freezes, and it's like, and
I think a lot of people are experiencing that type of thing every day at this point. At least the people that
it's not deniable anymore. It can't be denied anymore. In that fact, or hidden, or some people feel ashamed to like come out and talk about stuff like this, for the fact that it would be too like intense. And a lot of them went into hiding, but they all know a lot of elder people who grew up on Hawaii before me. I sit with a lot of elder people, and all they do is talk about the spirits or their experiences where they picked up a beautiful woman who was in a white dress with red hair, and took her all the way up to the mountains. When they got there, she was gone. And when they went back and asked around, different places on the island are much more highly spiritual active than other places, because there is all ancient bones everywhere. And so with all that channeling, the spirits, they fly on the wind. And they go different spots of the island. If you look into kapunas and kahunas and the blessings and the reason what the blessings were for, if you look at a picture of the ali'i, the chiefs and chiefs, the chief and chiefess, they would always have like this huge line where they would have the main kahuna, the kapuna, the spiritual figure in front, blessing the way to open up, so the ali'i who were carrying the mana, the power, that were just born with that power, that strong power, would not be affected mentally or physically by the strong energies that may have come into others and itself. And they would open up a way, just like the parting of the seas, so they could walk through the village. There were many different kapunas that would be in each part of the island, which is the name of the towns that you and I exist in today. And there would be one strong person who would bless those energies, so it wouldn't be so intense, or that spirit would not get attached to you. But you can do this yourself by channeling whatever God you believe in, because I don't want to be like, you have to believe in this God. No, spiritually strengthen yourself when you go into certain areas, or you know that that area is so spiritually active. Strengthen yourself and then bring it in from the heavens and let it go out to the ground, and then accept all that is around you. And it won't feel as intense when you walk about or visit those areas. There are sometimes some areas I feel I wake up and I go, well, maybe I want to go here today. Somehow I just can't. Like I get to that area and I feel like I have to go to another area.
That's not your neighborhood today.
Yeah, that's not
tomorrow it might be, but not today.
Yeah.
I got to say that, you know, I've been, and it's intriguing for those people that don't know. I haven't been here but since October, but this island, which contains about 60,000 people, which is not really a huge number. You can basically drive around the perimeter of it for the most part in an hour and a half, you know, in a long day or whatever. But every part of the island has a different climate, has a different energy, has a different sunshine, has a different wave action, different color of the water. I mean, and it's very intriguing.
Because they're made for that type of spirit. Like if those spirit exists there, everything in nature is going to make that spirit comfortable. You know, like you put a goldfish in a goldfish bowl because you want it to be comfortable, but you don't put a bird in a goldfish bowl.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now, and it seems to me like Kauai, because of the diversity and the variance of its different climate, you know, the geography, wherever you go, the climate's different, so distinctly different, that it's almost like a microcosm of the world. You know, you got the second deepest canyon in North America. You got the wettest rainforest in the world, you know, and everything in between. So let me ask you, going back to Kauai, going back to what's happening in the world today, in this realm today, how Kauai is situated at the top of that funnel, you know, the top of that vortex. Is there, to your knowledge, a specific role that Kauai and the peoples of Kauai are playing in this transition that we're in?
It's literally, a lot of people come here for healing. They want to be healed or find some kind of, how would you say, healing from that past. And I've seen it through so many places. Like some people have come here and their life was totally just not in the right direction that it needed to be, or it may have been terrible, either due to whatever reason, that they could not just live there anymore. And then they come, and it's a process of finding what's happening within yourself.
Yeah.
But as soon as you land and you touch base, all that nature energy is going to flow into you. And that's when you have to begin taking in the spirit and start just living by the first 4 chakras. If we lived more in a thriving and teaching people to be thriving, but how do we teach people to be thriving and how to thrive? Through love, through understanding what's going on within yourself. So when you go back out into the world, you can change it no matter what, but you have to let go of all your past pains first. So with whatever feeling of forces of nature that had brought me to do that, the blessing is there for all of us to be able to let go of all past pains so we can be present. So we're not wishing for a better future.
Yeah.
We're we're be able to do that because we're present. We're able to create a new future. So when things become more balanced for all of us, you know, whatever pain that we ever suffered or endured, we can still vibrate and radiate that love out, and hopefully that same love and that same teaching can enter and show everybody. There was a man that I was staying at an Airbnb on the lava, and he was a guest there. And this guest, he was from Germany, and he was watching me clean up this sanctuary. And I'm literally cleaning up this sanctuary by myself. And he goes, wow, you're just picking up trash and caring about the world. And, you know, all the world is not like how it is here. And I said, well, then it's up to someone like you who has experienced what it's like, bring it to where you are at and show people that aloha that you learned. Yeah. And you being here and allowing the love and the aloha to even come and be on your podcast is a great honor for people to know that when you come to Hawaii, you take all that healing, you let go of that past pain, because that blessing is there for you. That's my gift to all of you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I've noticed too that since I've been on the island, I've met a handful of people, you know, probably six people to a dozen maybe, that were called here, as I was called, we were called here, in the last couple of years. Really strong callings, and also life-changing, like you said. They might have come for a visit and go back to their home, detach from everything in relationships, in careers, and then come back and live over here on a wing and a prayer. Are you seeing more of that? You've been here. Have you seen people doing that, or has it increased?
It's been a point to where I always say I give you the 3 years before I fully give. It's because I've seen people come and go. Some people, if it works for them, all the forces of nature will work for them. I've also seen a lot of people who have come, and it's very hard because I would get so attached to that person, and you know, they would say they'd be here forever, and a week, a month, a day later, I can't stand it.
Yeah, they get spit out.
They literally, like, a lot of things happen to them where they no longer want to take it anymore. They feel like everything, just all the nature energy, and it's just this powerful, like, oh, I can't do this no more, and then they're gone. And you know,
I've heard that too.
As a young person, my younger self was used to cry and be very sad, and then so the attachment that I have to each person is, if I see you in my vicinity for 3 years, in those 3 years you made it. And every time someone tells me I made it my first year, I'm like, well, good for you. Get ready for the next 10.
Right. Yeah, I have a friend that I met when I got here. She'd been here 33 years, and she came from the mainland, and she saw the Napoli coast. That she had a vision, Napoli coast. She had that vision, in a dream. Came over here, didn't want to come here. It was like a golf tournament her husband was participating in or something, but saw her dream, went back, packed everything up, and came to live over here. But she left. And she was one of those that I will never leave. And she got another call, and she went back to the mainland. But I was going to just reflect too, because about what you said about the nature beings, the island itself. That's very true. And I don't know. I didn't know then. I don't know now. I don't have any. I'm not attached. Am I going to stay? Are we going to stay here? Are we going to go somewhere else? I'm not attached to that. I love the place. But I know this, we were called here. And I also know this, to your point, is that it's kind of, it's let us know that it wants us here. In other words, it's supported
the
us.
gravitational pull.
Yeah, it's supported us in so many different ways, and that's an interesting thing, because it's, you can see it, touch it, feel it. I mean, you can actually. We were gifted a car right after we got initiated for a few weeks. You know, that was huge.
Because you've laid down a form of respect for the spirits. I see a lot of people who come here and automatically think they can just receive and everything is just made there for them.
Yeah.
And it never works out for them because they didn't give that form of respect.
Yeah.
When I'm in a spiritual active place that is, I feel that is greater than my own, it may be a presence that is a lot greater, I will bow my head. I will give an offering of food and I will say a prayer. And sometimes I will walk into a part of the island and I will literally be like, oh, here's some for you. This is my gift to the spirits. I'm just here to enjoy. Thank you. You know, I'm going to be leaving, but while I'm here, just, you know, please just respect my space. I respect yours. I clean up. I treat it as it's sacred, as so it should be.
Yeah.
And when people just come and like, you know, it's all about, I'm just receiving. I'm here to receive. Oh my goodness. It's almost like a form of where the mischievous spirits will just kind of be like, eh.
Even the good ones.
Yeah,
I know.
like,
I like it.
Like that inside of you, that entitled.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't had a received mentality. I know, but I know what you're talking about. But what I have seen is, like, there is a respect on the island. I mean, I've known that since the day I got here. Like, I didn't know there was chickens and roosters running everywhere. I got off the plane 6:30 in the morning. I walk outside. It was raining and foggy and misty, and I see these roosters running everywhere. But it was from that moment just speaking. It was speaking its own language, and very clear language too, you know. But then other times, like, I like to go to the water and body surf and work with the mother energy, and it's so interesting because she shows herself to you, but she'll also show you her power. You know, like slam you into the ground. Put you, put a bruise in
you know, you see it, the nature will put you in a divine check. It's almost like,
yes, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah, it will definitely, if you don't respect thus nature and just, it will tell you itself. My cousin was a perfect representation of my mom. Was like, don't run on those type of rocks. Those are hollow rocks. And he didn't listen to her. He went and ran on the rocks and immediately, and he just scraped all of the side of his leg.
Well, that happened to me a couple of times too. You were talking about, what were you talking about? God, I can't remember now. I lost it. Yeah, you know, I love this thing. I know everyone here is not, for the most part, not in Kapa'a, not in Kauai, but there's a great spiritual center run by Adrian and Shelby and yourself and a couple of 2-3 other people. I can't remember everybody's name, but it's a thriving little, not little, it's a thriving illuminated center of, you know, of this whole frequency.
It's a beautiful studio temple we call Mandira, and it has been one of the most loving places that I love coming to every day. Yeah. And I'm sitting in her right now.
You're sitting what? In there right now,
I'm sitting in her right now, and I am enjoying this conversation that I got to have with you.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to do it some more. And we would like to interact with y'all more. We're still stabilizing some things, but yeah, we would love to be a part of that community and collaborate.
Yeah.
You know, so Yeah, we've met some amazing people over there, and we haven't been there too often, you know. So I think I've been there 3 or 4 times. But yeah, it's an amazing energy, and it's really cool to talk to people that you haven't met online. Like you were saying earlier, you know, so many of these people that are rising now were the people that were deemed crazy. But now this is the norm. The norm is, hey, I talk to fairies. Hey, I talk to the wind. You know, I talk to the star family. I'm having these experiences. Crazy is denying it. You know, that's the new crazy, or the real crazy is denying stuff. But to be around people, you know, like hearing Shelby's story that night, Adrian's story, your story, other people that we'd met on the island that showed up that night for that show that we did. I mean, it's an amazing little place. I would highly recommend anyone that's considering coming to Hawaii, come to Hawaii, Pa'a area, and visit Mandira. And yeah, I'd love to collaborate with you guys again, and
Yes.
get some maybe do some stuff on site somewhere with a remote setup, and take the people out into the field and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah. It's all to do with just respecting each of that nature in doing so. But I'd love to come and let you know what each site, some sites are used for, and what, or we can just talk about what each site was represented in each part of the Hawaiian culture, and how it is very similar to many cultures around the world. It's just the names are different, but
Yeah,
the
exactly.
spiritual energy is the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like even the stories that you were telling about picking up the lady in the white dress with the red hair. If I go back to South Texas, where I'm from, which is around the Texas-Mexican border, it's just the names are different. You know, the same stories are there. Um, they're just different. The names are different. That's it. You know, they might call a jefe is a kahuna here. You know, I mean everything. It's everywhere. But here it seems to be everything seems to be amplified,
Yeah.
expand. It's louder here.
It's like a gong at its highest vibration.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I've seen some people come on here and come to the island, and I've heard that you can get spit out pretty good. You know, you can get spit out pretty quick. And I've seen the pressure put on uh, the people, even myself, even Morgan, to allow you the opportunity to shine that diamond and to expand and grow. You know, it's a powerful energy. It's a nurturing energy, but it's a serious energy. Like if you're going to come here, there's not going to be any tiptoeing around the tulips or, you know, beating around the bush. We're going to get down to work, and that's what you come here for. Kind of like that Kali goddess energy, right? You know.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you one last question. What is that statue behind you, behind your left leg?
Oh, that's Kuan Yin.
On you.
That's Kuan Yin. Would you like a little closer look at her?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, if you can.
Yeah. There we go. If I can get that a little bit there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
She's a beautiful, she's about almost close to 10-foot statue.
Really?
I'm not sure what wood she's made of, but if I stand next to her, you can kind of see.
That's an amazing statue.
She's beautiful.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. All right, man. Well, appreciate everybody stopping in. Thank you, Chalsie, for spending time with us, honoring us with your presence. I look forward to doing some stuff with you again. I'd love the idea of getting like a remote pack and going around the island and filming the different locations and having just, 30-minute,
You must have permission first before you do that.
I'll let you take care of that. Or you can introduce me to whoever we have to ask permission from. But just even if it's the beach or just different parts that are more open, or even if it's just being out in nature and having discussions, and bringing in the element of the imagery in the vibrations, the frequencies of the area, you know. Whatever we can do to enhance and amplify the transmission of love, because that's what it is. Love and pure intention, right?
Yes.
Well, I hope to,
Thank
I
you
hope
so
to,
much.
yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you. Hope to see you soon. You take care. Tell everybody over there at Mandira I say hello. Morgan and I say hello. We'll be seeing you guys
Thank you.
in divine timing. Bye-bye.
Take care.